Yo, how's everybody doing today? This is the start of a new series, New Direction, where I talk about comics, games, and movies, and where each certain character and plot lines could go in a new or new direction. Would it be for better or would it be for worse? And for this first episode, I'm here with a very special guest, Jared from Comics League. How you doing, man?
What's up, dude? Welcome to the 150 Club, brother.
Appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, I've recently hit up 150 plus, and I had a big celebration stream with Taladia, myself, my brother, kid takeoff. It's just everyone just came out and showed support, and we just had a good old laugh. I mean, copyright's a nightmare, but I think it was a pretty good time, all things considered.
Hey, it was fun. I love as soon as you said, "Okay, I wish I had this clip," I'm like, check DMs. All you gotta do is tell me the ones you want, and I'll send them to you. It's no issue.
Oh man, but yeah, definitely. But what we're talking about today is, are you aware of Teen Titans 03, the animated series?
Of course I am.
Okay, all right. Watch where I'm going with this. It's post Dark Crisis, the epilogue issue. Slade loses his healing factor and is confined to a healing tank. Then his tank is sabotaged. But what if the next time we see him, he's reconstructed in a very similar old orange and black armor, similar to that cartoon?
Ooh, that could be fun.
What I'm suggesting in this episode is Slade made canon.
Ooh, that could be cool. But you know what's kind of funny? This is kind of set up because the Teen Titans are for right now the premier team, and Slade is pissed off at all the superheroes. And there's one thing being a Deathstroke fan has taught me: you don't want to piss off Slade.
No, you do not.
Say what you want about Titans. The show really showed that.
Hey, even in Titans, Deathstroke was pretty solid in that, so I can't fault them on that.
And the plot of the Batfleck movie, which I hope we get one day, particularly if it's going to be co-written by Marv Wolfman, yeah, I was like, please do this. But anyway,
we'll talk about it on CLD, but let it be known.
My point is that Ben Affleck's Batman would learn you don't piss off Slade.
And I will say this. I'm not going to make this full Darth Vader like Slade loses his humanity and just goes on a killing spree, even though we've seen that type of storytelling before with Slade Wilson. But we have to an extent. But I would say, one, it's actually nostalgia done right. And two, you have Slade in more of a mastermind capacity, more behind the scenes, rather than just a direct big bad or direct or a foot soldier.
Yeah, that was my one problem with Dark Crisis, because I get he was taken over, but Slade's not really the type to be the lackey of someone else. I just didn't get that.
I feel like Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths was practically spoiled from the start because they knew that they needed a big cosmic event. So let's make Pariah evil. Pariah suddenly goes mad from being being trapped in the multiverse or trapped in cosmic limbo for decades. He unleashes he pretty much opens Pandora's box, and all hell breaks loose. Even though we literally saw that storyline before in Trinity War in the New 52, but I digress.
Which was awesome. I still say Trinity War was cool.
It was good for what it was. I'm not going to bash it. But, yeah, because if you've watched Teen Titans 03, you know how menacing yet sophisticated Slade was. Like, the only time he got his hands dirty was specifically to entice Robin and get him over the edge. That's the only time he directly got his hands dirty. And the characterization's all there. You're just putting him in the suit. You're basically giving Slade a Darth Vader suit. That's basically what you're doing. Other than that, and the healing factor, the character's virtually the same.
Dick, I am your father.
Boo.
That sounds weird, but okay.
But what do you think, Jared, before I go further?
I mean, there's definitely room for Slade to get like a reinvention, because let's face it, I get the feeling they used Deathstroke for Dark Crisis because they didn't know what else to do with them. They had a cool storyline, the new 52, where he was made young again and like teamed up with Wonder Woman and Superman. It was actually really cool, and he also had a cool matchup against Red Hood, which is pretty dope. But I mean, I would definitely like for them to go more in the area that we know that like the fan base loves for specifically, like with Teen Titans Go, because that show is iconic. A lot of people look at that show and say that's my Teen Titans right there.
Definitely. And did you know the Red X arc was actually based on the Renegade storyline from the late 90s?
Really?
Yes, because in the late 90s, Nightwing went through a separate identity called Renegade, to infiltrate what Slade was up to and take him down. Everything comes to a head with Dick ultimately taking a deal so Slade wouldn't target the Titans anymore, or at least that roster. In exchange, Slade would want Rose to be trained to be a hero or trained to be better so she could defend herself when Slade's enemies would target her. He didn't want a repeat of what happened to Jericho, which did get repurposed in Lazarus Contract and Rebirth. So, the more you know. But yeah,
you need that as a drop.
God, we're old. But in all seriousness, Red X is literally just a kiddie or censored version of Renegade.
And if they try to put him in Infinite Frontier,
Teen Titans Academy was.
I had to bring that up because I like your reaction when I bring up Teen Titans Academy.
I've set myself through a lot of bad comics, but that has got to been one of the worst I've read since Steve-O. It's melodramatic.
Secret Empire is not bad if you take it as an Elseworld story. If you approach it with that, it's like, okay, I could see this.
In a vacuum, it's tedious at best because you're reusing the Tesseract.
Again. Well, that's true. Again. It's a MacGuffin. What are you going to do? And we all know Marvel is not like creative enough to stop using the same ideas over and over again at this point. I think we can agree on that.
That's a fair point. Not going to lie. But what happened, one, you had a hack showrunner who's mainly good at animation and actually TV shows instead of comics, which is a completely different niche. Second, he didn't even want to use Red X. That was just a hook editorial forced him to maintain because he wanted to branch out his original characters and focus on LGBTQ plus storytelling. There's nothing wrong with that. It just has its time and place, as recent sales numbers would show. There's a setting for that.
Mm-hmm.
And people feel differently about it. I'm not.
That wasn't a Fitzmartin book, right?
No, that was Tim Sheridan.
Oh, that's the Sheridan run, because I remember like earlier when you first joined up Comics League, you talked about the Sheridan run, and you and Tevye both like shook violently. So I was wondering, what the hell is that about? Now I know.
But basically in that story, you still have the mystery and intrigue of Red X. He's kind of like the backstory of it, which is essentially just a repeat of Renegade. It's literally just a modern version of Renegade, as I previously stated. And it was a mistake. It still haunts Dix to this day. And then as you wrap up the first issue, Nightwing has a little birthday fling with Corey to wrap up the issue. Even though in the Nightwing books, he belongs with
Batgirl. I'm saying that I really don't care. I'm just saying that in case Nick is watching. Because for those who don't know, they only say Wonder Bat just to mess with me. I only say Nightwing belongs with Batgirl because I know it pisses Nick off. It's all part of the fun. Even though I have who is arguably the best comic book director of all time on my side, but that's besides the point there.
Though just about every creative will tell you Nightwing and Starfire outside of Elseworld stories was just a very passionate fling to where they ultimately grow apart in the end, especially given how he reacted to the Tamaran wedding arc in Titans.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they still on good terms. They still fool around every now and again, depending on how much melodrama the writer wants to put in that story arc. But ultimately, it would just, at least in canon, the most it'll amount to is a fling.
Yeah.
A very well enticed fling, but a fling all the same.
Wasn't she in Red Hood and the Outlaws where she was sleeping with both Jason and Roy?
Jason just boasted that in an attempt to piss off Nightwing in one issue. She did fool around with Roy.
That's so Red Hood. That is so Red Hood.
Yeah, Jason made up the whole thing. It was never directly confirmed whether that happened, or if it was retconned after the fact in the annual.
I see. But yeah, in terms of Slade, because here's what people don't realize about Deathstroke. He is a badass. To give you an idea, you know how he beat the Flash?
How?
He literally, because Flash, this was, I think, Wally at the time.
Yep, this was Wally West.
He memorized the patterns of how Wally moves when he's going to attack. So he just stood there and held his sword out, and Wally just went right into the sword. He's like, you're so predictable.
Again, just because you have super speed doesn't make you not unpredictable in a fight.
What he plays off of is the hubris that some of these characters have.
Relative hubris. Some have bigger egos than others.
Well, that's just because they're the freaking Justice League. So
Guy Gardner, tell that to Guy Gardner.
Someone has to punch that dude in the face. Batman, you want to take care of that for me? But anyway, that's so awesome. I love how everyone references that.
What? Gardner was a blowhard in JLI.
Yeah, and I love how when Hal Jordan came back from the dead, he punches Batman, and a Guy Gardner's like, "I've been waiting my whole life for this." That was amazing.
Pre-Flashpoint. But yes, you really wouldn't have to do too much with Slade. Yes, it does put the Terminator in the back seat, but given how much he's reused and recycled over and over again, either as a stepping stone or just a plot thread to get through a filler issue, I think at least for the interim, this could be worthwhile.
He needs a reinvention at this point because the character is great, but he's been just there for so long, and it's like, just do something new with him, or in this case, like revert him kind of back so like we can like tell older stories in like newer ways, in other words, if that makes sense. But he definitely needs a reinvention at this point, particularly after Dark Crisis, because arguably Dark Crisis did a little character damage to him because, again, he's not a lackey. That's not what Slade is.
He's a mercenary. He'll honor a contract, and he'll take the occasional buyout depending on the circumstances. Mm-hmm. But he's not a lackey. He's not a goon.
And he's actually honorable, because there was just one time he was hired to protect someone, I think, or like and the person's son was trying to pay Slade to kill his father, to kill the client's father, and the client's father said, "I'll give you $1 to kill my son." Slade's like, "Roger that," and then he just went to war.
Pretty much a power play gone bad. That's really all it was.
Exactly.
Most would have just took top dollar and been done with it, but despite the stigma, despite everything that Slade is as an anti-hero and a villain, I feel like if you did just a 6-issue mini arc of how he readjusted the suit, I wouldn't go ahead and like put him into like a super soldier serum or have him regain his powers. Have him build himself back up over a period of time. Because as you saw more of Teen Titans 03, Slade became more and more menacing. And then when he came back in Haunted, oh god.
Mm-hmm.
Like that Haunted was nightmare fuel. When you first saw Haunted as a kid, that was nightmare fuel.
No, you know what's my nightmare fuel? Looking at how many freaking tie-ins are in the most recent DC event that's starting. It gave me a freaking heart attack. Who can afford this?
Yeah. I get what they were trying to do, but this isn't practical at all. Because you want to establish, like, okay, we got a 2-month gap between our current commission of writers and titles wrapping up, and whether or not they'll renew their contracts, and our Dawn of DC initiative that's kicking off in September. We have about a 2-month gap. This is literally Future State all over again. So what do? You cram as many titles as you possibly can.
It's Convergence again.
No. Convergence was bona fide fan service.
Convergence was a delaying tactic until DC moved from New York to Burbank.
That is also true.
I'm not saying it was a good story. I'm just saying that it's the same purpose, dude.
It is a similar situation. But if you had to tell a self-contained story about Deathstroke in the Slade armor, how would you play it off? How would you go about it?
Well, first off, I would have assuming he gets his powers back in the Slade armor. Let's just assume we start off like that. Yes. I would have him go on a vengeance spree. Here's how you transition from the Justice League. I mean, from the Titan League, I'm going to call them, to the Justice League. Slade shows up to get payback and doesn't kill them, but comas them.
Hurts them really, really badly.
Really, really bad. And the Justice League has to come back and pick up the slack. The Justice League fights Slade, beat him, put him where he definitely can escape, like the Phantom Zone. I'm really surprised that they haven't put more criminals in the Phantom Zone.
Because it's inhumane and it's saved for the worst of the worst, or superpowered beings that can't be confined.
Man, your morals suck. Thank you. That's why I love Zack Snyder. But my point is that they'll put him away and then the Justice League will come in. Or what they could do, Slade wants to make up for his role in the Dark Crisis. So you could kind of see him try and be a hero again. Because remember, didn't he join the Justice League?
Briefly. It was kind of around the time of Forever Evil where he was considered a part-time or extended member of the League.
I thought it was recent, around the time of Action 1000.
That might have been a one-time thing.
It could have been.
But please, if you actually know about that, please type it in the comments.
Yeah, because I know there was this one point where Slade tried to be a hero.
Well,
and then he was actually killed. Let me go this way. He was comic book killed, which means not killed at all. And
he got better. He got
better. It's his head just fell off. Oh, he got better. But and then I think he joined the Justice League briefly. It was a brief time because it's Deathstroke on the Justice League, but it was a very brief time.
I want to say this was around time as the God Killer arc, but it could have been after that.
That was is that the one where he went to Themyscira?
Pretty much.
That was the New 52. This what I'm talking about is more modern. In that one, because I have that entire run. I believe that was the Tony Daniel run. He got younger. In other words, this group, they don't tell you how he did it. Slade is younger and he has both eyes. It's actually kind of cool because he has to learn to fight with both eyes now. And he gets the God Killer sword. And then so that the gods want blood because he kills a god. So he takes out his own eye and says, here.
Basically DC's Kratos. That was that arc.
Yeah, if there's a character that's not Wonder Woman that'd be close to DC's Kratos, it's Slade.
It's Slade. But yeah, I definitely want to talk about this more, because if you're gonna make a Dawn of DC Titans book, who are you gonna have as the main villain? Even if it's just a short story just to prop up the Justice League coming back.
Well, here's the thing, too. Here's why it works to have Slade as the main villain. Because it looks like Dawn of DC is trying to harken back to an earlier time, a simpler time in DC. And if anything is big for those nostalgia baiters, it is Slade versus the Teen Titans. I'm sorry, that is just... That's like the Justice League versus Starro at this point. Because at that point, you're going back to what works, too. Because remember, that cartoon was popular for a reason. You didn't need his name to be Deathstroke in order for him to be freaking intimidating in that show.
And the actor nailed it. Masterclass.
Was that Ron Perlman?
I'm pretty sure that was Ron Perlman.
Yeah, I thought it was that. He's also playing Optimus Primal. By the way, I nearly threw a gasket when your brother talked about how he didn't like the Optimus Prime design. I'm like, that's G1!
Very disrespectful. Very disrespectful.
Don't be knocking I liked the Bayverse Optimus Prime too, how the flames turn into ribs, but you can't knock a classic.
But yeah, the CGI is not the best. But again, I'll wait for the finished product.
We're getting live action Unicron, okay?
Weren't we supposed to get that in Transformers 6 before the Bayverse imploded due to diminishing returns?
Or the fact that Transformers 5 sucked?
That is also true.
Legit, they make you seem like the Autobots have been here the entire time, but Transformers 1 is still canon that shows them arriving for the first time. If they had stopped at the dragon, it would have been fine, but no. But anyway, back to Slade. I know we keep getting away from that, but my point is nostalgia at this point, because what DC is doing right now, what Dawn of DC seems to me is damage control for
5G
initiative that was after Death Metal.
Infinite Frontier.
Yeah, it was after Infinite, because I think that after Death Metal, well, first off, Death Metal burnt out a lot of comic book fans because of how bloated it got. But my point is, from there and on, Dawn seems like an apology tour, honestly.
It does. It does. And even if we did go for, okay, because it wouldn't have the same appeal, but it would be very nostalgic, because I'm sorry, it's not, you gotta understand, this could easily go wrong. This could easily go wrong if someone didn't watch the cartoon, or if the writing is undercooked,
or if they put Fitzmartin on the book, or Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad. I had to do that. To mess with Jay Heat, because for those that don't know, they are the worst writers in all of DC, and sales-wise reflects it. I had to.
Clune read on a Titans book. Are you fucking insane?
Yeah, I know. Even I cringed at that one, because I'm still recovering from Wonder Woman. You know, it's bad when Tom King is an improvement.
Relatively, but yes.
And I like a lot of Tom King books.
Yeah, his Mr. Miracle.
Sheriff of Babylon.
That's a good one.
I'm going to drop a hot take. Heroes in Crisis.
In a vacuum.
Because I think, yes, exactly. If what happened to Wally had not happened, in other words, if they had not like shunted Wally, and this was just like one story where like, oh, here, I think it would have been, I think it's pretty good. Now, there are some parts of it I'm not the biggest fan of, but I still enjoyed it as a story.
Well, let's see. It's a contrived murder mystery. Wally breaks the time barrier, leaks confidential and private information, and then creates a paradox when he offs his doppelganger about a week in the future, leaving the body behind to give himself an alibi.
My problem with the story is that, okay, so someone is leaking information on the internet. Hey, Cyborg, can you log on here and just delete everything? The dude is the god of machines. What do you do? He's on the Justice League, ostensibly.
It's an easy fix. Now, you might not have been able to immediately find the perp, but at the very least, you could have
like blocked all this stuff from coming out, like block keyword sanctuary. Plus, wait a second. You're telling me Wally West outsmarted Batman?
Well, again, the whole thing's a mess, but if you do want to contextualize it in story, this just boils down to the fact that, like Eobard Thawne, Wally is a living paradox in the fact that he's just a carryover from New 52 onward. He doesn't have the same relation.
But that's a story where I could see Slade doing some stuff. He should have been the perpetrator. That would have been cool.
Slade getting into I got it. I know how to fix Heroes in Crisis.
What? Do it.
Have it be Jericho, but because remember, back in Judah's contract, he did establish a mind link with Slade and possess him. So
even in the show,
that still happened. But okay, so work with me here. Imagine if Jericho, probably due to his own baggage, was in Sanctuary. Then all of a sudden he has a panic attack or a mental breakdown. Slade then switches over, Slade, and in the blurred of memories and trying to process everything Slade's gone through, all the horrors he's done, thinking he's Slade, and this is just another job. He ends up killing. Okay, because Jericho is very dangerous when he wants to be. When Jericho lets loose, he lets loose. And I'm just like, oh God, not even I'm a the gore. Oh God, no.
It can only be written by Tom Taylor at that point. Because if for those who don't know, as much as I don't like Tom Taylor's in continuity book, there's no one that can write a Slaughter better than Tom Taylor. Let's face it.
And a good Elseworld story or two if editorial's not dragging him down.
Oh yeah, but yes, that would be a great way to use Slade. There are so many stories where they could have used Slade like so well. How about this? Instead of Bane, they could have used Deathstroke in Tom King's Batman run.
Wouldn't that be? You're already ripping off Azrael from Nightfall. Wouldn't that be a bit on the nose?
Yeah, and it would have been reminiscent of the Ben Affleck Batman movie, but still.
Not to mention, even okay, City of Bane, you had one or two routes. Either quote unquote fridge Selena or kill Alfred if you wanted to get the impact you needed from Bruce and how everything was going to go to 5G, with Dark Detective being his redemption arc. They weren't going to fridge Selena. It just wasn't going to happen.
No, plus it's Catwoman. She's a major DC character on the Batman side of the house, which is the side that matters in DC. Let's face it.
You've been holding in that one, weren't you?
Yeah, I've been waiting for a time to use that one. Let's face it, as much as Superman is like the base of DC, the only book that matters sales-wise is Batman.
He's out of line, but he's right. He's right.
Of course I'm right. I am the comics lord after all.
Comics League.
I'm the Lord of the League. There you go. You could say we're Comics League of Legends. I had to.
Please stop.
Someone has to pick up the slack for Nick when he's not here.
But excuse me. God, there were so many opportunities. So much you could do with Slade. Even if you only put him in the armor for like an issue, just like an anthology or an annual. The fact that he's in that armor at all, that issue, that volume, that issue will be collected in trade paperbacks, will sell gangbusters.
Yes, I'm sorry. I agree with Jay Heat on that one. It's like, that's it. That's the game changer. If you say Slade versus Teen Titans, and you can even market it that way. Titans versus Slade. Don't put Deathstroke, put Slade. That will sell up the yin yang, dude.
By Jeremy Adams.
By Jeremy Adams.
Jeremy Adams is one of DC's best writers right now. Maybe Chip Zdarsky could pull it off, considering his success with Batman 900. But so much fan service went into that. But
remember the Batman falling from orbit thing.
Yeah, come on. Zdarsky wrote himself into a corner. He did what he had to do, no matter how ridiculous. I'm not defending it. It's still ridiculous.
Stupid as hell, but okay. But yeah, Zdarsky is awesome. I'm working my way through his Daredevil run, and that dude knows how to write a damn good comic book.
I agree. But okay, if you were an editor in DC in charge of this idea, how many would you make this a maxi series, a mini series, or an ongoing?
Honestly, a maxi series, because here's the thing about a lot of good ideas. You can have the best story idea, but if it goes on for too long, it just gets too much. Do it a maxi series that you have a beginning, middle, and end. And I said this in my Tom King is underrated video. He works best when he has a beginning, middle, and a defined end. That's why he gets a lot of mini series and maxi series. All of his best stuff, mini and maxi series. It's when he goes too long. Because here's the thing: when you have a maxi series or a mini series, you can't afford one filler issue.
You can't.
Because you have to be able to tell the complete story.
Maybe one if you can get away with it. Maybe one.
Particularly in this case, if it's like a series that has a very simple premise, you can have this be at the end of the Titans run before the Justice League book comes in, and the end of it is like he wrecks the Titans, and they're saved by like Batman and a few other League members, or you just have it where they fight him, but decide that they're not cut out to be like the headline team.
Or Slade versus Batman Inc. Doesn't have the same appeal, mind you.
That could work. The only problem is that it doesn't have that search engine optimization of Titans versus Slade.
That is true, but I think it would make for, because you already have Ghostmaker taking over the organization, two mercenaries duking it out, and I can see Ghostmaker saying, "You're just a cripple in a tin can."
Yeah, that would be awesome. I would love that, because I honestly wish they would do more with Ghostmaker, because that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, you could do see Batman Inc. works, but again, if you're going to put him in the Slade suit, it would just be a missed opportunity not to have him fight the Titans.
At least a cameo. At
least one fight, maybe one arc, maybe. That's why it's a maxi series. Just do that. You don't even have to have it lead into the Justice League. Just if you're gonna put him in the Slade suit, just do this. The fans will pick it up.
Definitely. I had thought about making this a separate video because I had made a thumbnail, but I had made a thumbnail for it, and Jared knows what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But as a special treat to you guys, and because I reached 150 plus, New Direction episode 1 is going to be a double feature.
Okay, we can do that. That's fun. Let's do that. So, and by the way, again, congratulations on the 150, dude. That's a hell of that is a kick-ass title. Yes. Yes.
If you don't know, our last collab was the second half of Superman and the Ascension of Sion, which was basically what if New 52 Superman lived, but for a price.
What if DC did not take the lazy road out, in other words?
You would still have both New 52 Superman and Post-Crisis Superman, but...
Yeah, it still exists, but here's the thing about it, is that you could have, like, the story potential.
Should we just give them the Clip Notes version? Because let's just go ahead. Okay. Basically, right when New 52 Superman, disintegrates, he has the kryptonian poisoning. He ends up in Hades, because if you remember from Superman and Wonder Woman, they were a couple. He met the Pantheon, and he kind of picked a fight with Apollo. Well, Apollo picked that fight.
That was awesome. That's my favorite part of the entire. No, because Apollo blasted with sunlight, and Superman's like,
"That's when he knew."
You really don't know that much about me, do you? And he just punched him through a volcano. Basically, to quote Zack Snyder, he not impresses him.
Well, basically, to make it a long story short, Wonder Woman goes to Hades. Well, Jared's varied version. Wonder Woman goes to Hades to get Clark, and it's kind of like a mythology in a way, to where she's literally fighting the depths of Hades for Kal-El, and Hades is like, okay, daughter of Zeus, all right, you can have him, but for a price. Zeus shows you favor, far more than your initial demigod is worth. I will let you leave with him and return to the mortal realm, but you will owe Olympus a boon. And that goes into an invasion of a god storyline, and Superman's imbued with the powers of Zeus. All right.
Yeah. Speaking of, it's kind of funny, J.E. You know what I literally just realized when you said Superman's imbued with the power of Zeus? If any of you have watched Full Circle recently, Zach kind of dropped information on Zeus. Well, we talked about that on CLD, but isn't that kind of funny how that happened? I just put it together literally, dude.
Oh, man.
That is too weird.
But please watch the previous video, Superman, the Ascension of Sion. It'll give you some deep-rooted context for this. But because this segment right here, Goddess of War, amply titled so, is because we're going to do a reverse. What if instead of Superman getting powers of the Pantheon, it was Wonder Woman? Jared?
Oh, God. Oh, boy. That is quite a mix, because
she wouldn't just have the powers of Zeus.
She would have the powers of every god, which makes her, oh boy. Speaking of Kratos, but
go nuts, buddy.
They kind of did this idea sort of in the Wonder Woman run by, I think it was Finch, or was it Azarello with the Firstborn? Because the Firstborn,
Azarello.
It was Zeus's first son. He was killing all the gods and taking their powers. That's why Wonder Woman became the Goddess of War originally, because Firstborn kills Ares, and she had to absorb the powers in order to keep him from
gaining more power and upsetting
the thing about it is that's one of the issues I have with Peter J. Tomasi when he took on the book, is he made it like Clark's not okay with her becoming the Goddess of War. He was in the previous arc. What are you talking about?
Wouldn't be the first time DC self-sabotaged.
Well, remember, this was because Tomasi is a Clovis fanboy and took away sales. But my point is, so yeah, she became the Goddess of War and really badass. And remember, Wonder Woman would have also had this in the Snyderverse. Well, at least in a short dream where she dreams of stabbing Superman. That's quite a dream for the love interest of Superman to have. Yes, I still maintain that.
And the reason I say that is because remember, in New 52 from Darkseid War, Billy was supposed to get new powers from the pantheon of the old gods.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, Shazam would go on his own quest, and Shazam would go and do his own thing, and then slowly be reintroduced. Here, in the interim, Wonder Woman would kind of be a stand-in for Shazam, essentially having basically the powers of Zeus, Solomon, Atlas. I almost said Achilles for some reason.
The speed Here's of Hermes. The look of Wonder Woman as the Goddess of War, by the way. Kick ass. Look at that. And by the way, here's cosplayer Liz Wonder cosplaying as that character, as if he didn't think she looked like Wonder Woman enough.
And let me just pull up something right quick.
Mm-hmm.
This was originally supposed to be a separate episode, but I decided to make it a double feature anyway. Saves me some time on editing, not gonna lie. I will admit that. Saves me time on editing. But where was it? Just saw it.
But
keep talking while I'm looking for this.
Yeah, so the thing about it is that a lot of Wonder Woman purists didn't like it because, again, they don't like any changes for these characters. And the thing about it is because it puts Wonder Woman in an interesting position because she's this being of peace. But the interesting part, so she's supposed to be the being of peace, right? But she's the Goddess of War. So you actually had a really cool story where she had to like reconcile the two. And that's the thing. DC has these great storylines, and of course here's the thing. Yes, there we go. And of course that's my problem with a lot of the fan base, because they see great stories. And that then they like reject it because they don't like change, even though this is a different version of Wonder Woman.
Now, nostalgia is not always a bad thing, but it can be toxic. That's just the truth of the matter. By the way, this was the original thumbnail. I think it looks pretty good. This was when I decided to make this original.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. This is what the original thumbnail was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But that works. And okay, so basically you have, yes, Wonder Woman it becomes a goddess. Clark is kept out of Hades and is revived. You have New 52 Clark. I mean, you have a post-crisis Superman. Basically everything we talked about in that video is just Wonder Woman and a Shazam and a Wonder Woman blessed with the powers of the Pantheon versus Hera. That wouldn't even be a fight.
Oh yeah. Let's face it. You have Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah.
Supercharged.
Right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Hera's not doing anything.
But Hera would have an ace in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
Two of which, in fact.
Okay.
Grail, and Jason. Remember her brother from the...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but still, it's like you got Wonder Woman that's like supercharged. Wonder Woman alone could take those two out, but...
This is around the time she had baby Darkseid, when he was feeding off God energy to regain his physique.
That was... Remember in Metal where Batman had him in a little front pack? That was so good.
So yeah, a bratty preteen Darkseid, Grail, and a corrupted Jason versus Shazam imbued Diana.
Oh, that would be dope. That would be. I would buy the crap out of that book. You kidding me? And the and again, what it does is essentially like again, it gives her more powers, which yeah, Wonder Woman doesn't need, but it's cool though. And at this point, they really need to like give her new cool stuff to do to make up for the Clunrad thing. And trust me, if you tell her she's going to have the powers of Shazam and she's going to go to war for Hera, because when you think about it, this is they've set this up perfectly because okay, particularly why she hates Hera.
Flashback time.
If we're taking the new 52 thing as canon, she turned her mother into stone and their sisters into snakes, and has been screwing with her just because Zeus was cheating on her with Hippolyta. Oh yeah, you better believe a pissed off, not only a supercharged Wonder Woman, a royally pissed off Wonder Woman. Yeah, you're not surviving that. I don't care what god you are.
Here's my rebuttal. Post-crisis Clark. Don't do this, Diana.
She still beat Superman. What are you talking about?
No, post-crisis, full power, pre-Flashpoint. Because remember, there would be 2 Supermen.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
This is a more experienced Clark Kent.
But this is the one that also was beaten by Wonder Woman in Infinite Crisis, though. That's what I'm talking about.
No, I'm not saying it wouldn't be a brutal fight. Like, let it go.
And he's weak to magics, and she's...
And given the devastation this war would have caused, including the death of Zeus, or at least that physical form, Hera would, by extension, take his place on the Quintessence to maintain the cosmic power and keep Darkseid at bay. This is what Darkseid and Grail wanted, to orchestrate a situation where the balance is upset and they can take advantage and feed off the chaos, further powering the Omega Sanction.
And then at the end, we would obviously have the gods and Wonder Woman come to peace and then fight Grail and Darkseid.
To which a corrupted Jason would ultimately take advantage of Diana because she doesn't want to bring herself to kill her brother because, you know, you got to have the tension there.
And then I would have her actually end up at the end of the story killing her brother.
Albeit reluctantly.
Reluctantly, yeah, because it's too, like, cliche for everything turns out good at the end. So I'm like, you gotta have that because you gotta give this story weight.
I'll do you one better. Darkseid takes the opportunity because he needs one to take the next step in his evolution when reconstructing his body. He fires an Omega Blast, full power, right at Diana because if you're hit with an Omega Beam, that's pure disintegration, regardless of how powerful you are. Sure, Kryptonians are the exception because they can handle more durability. But if you're hit with a full power blast, that's it.
Let's not forget that at least Grail's Omega Beams destroyed Wonder Woman's bracelets. Let's not forget that. That's how powerful we're talking about here.
And as I was saying, Darkseid would just, you know, because this was still kid, preteen Darkseid. You know, he's angsty, he's cranky.
Angsty preteen Darkseid. That's hilarious.
He doesn't want to
tell me what to do, Grail. I'm the Lord of Apocalypse.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I'm blasting him. And then he pierces through Now, granted, this is basically Legacy Superman, you know, from DCAU where he's brainwashed. So Jason kind of played. So Jason ends up being broiled alive by the Omega Beam, and his essence is used to fuel Darkseid, and that's how he gets his form back. I wouldn't drag it out going to Justice League Odyssey and all that because there was no reason for Darkseid to be on that team. So you have a dead Jason, a royally pissed off Wonder Woman versus a fully restored Darkseid with God power of his own.
Yeah.
Diana's not winning that.
And then the Justice League shows up to help her.
Including Shazam, including Billy Batson, and this is his grand return, with the powers of the old gods against Darkseid.
And Scion shows up. Scion is our name for new 52 Superman. He shows up and basically goes, okay, do I have to punch you guys to another volcano again? Because you saw the last time you insulted Diana. And then he goes, oh yeah, and you Darkseid. Remember we kicked your ass the first time you invaded? Yeah, we're doing that again. Go ahead.
Spare me your threats, Kryptonian. I merely indulged to regain my form. Zeus's lust was nothing more than a mere benefactor. Besides, this wouldn't be the first time he's earned Hera's scorn.
True, but remember,
you went on a. Go ahead.
You literally cannot win this. You've never won against us. Like for a Lord of Apocalypse that's supposed to be this great conqueror, you suck at it. And the Darkseid's eyes just glow red because he's pissed off. Because I could so see Superman just trying to like piss off Darkseid to make him act rashly.
A minor jest, but I got what I came for. I've regained my form. Take your woman and your little victory, and be sure to stay out of apocalyptic divine affairs. You will not receive this warning again.
Nah, we'll be involved in your affairs again. What are you gonna do? Invade again? We all know how that's gonna go, Darky.
You do realize Darkseid actually works with the Quintessence and these other deities. All he has to do is bring his mass army of multiple avatars across the multiverse for a full-scale invasion if he really wanted to.
And watch that Cyborg explaining this to Superman like in that exact way, and then Superman's like, "Oh, never mind."
You see, Scion, this is why I tell you to think things through before you run your mouth.
and then Diana goes, "I keep telling him," and Superman goes, "Don't embarrass me in front of my nemesis." Playing off the Harley Quinn thing. I had to, because you know that if this guy is like supposed to be a younger 20-something Superman, he's gonna be that way.
He's gonna be a little angsty, just a little bit.
But it's all in good fun because that's what I like Superman.
And I could definitely, and just like in the first video, I could definitely see post Clark or post Christ, basically Superman, having a bit of a brotherly bond with Scion, kind of treat him like a little kid. Scion's like a little brother. Scion's annoyed by it because it's his doppelganger kind of babying him, but you're kind of a screw up, dude, especially in this Goddess of War version.
Well, remember at that point when Clark died in the New 52, he was at that part of being close enough to the Superman we remember, so he wouldn't exactly be like that much of an a-hole. I think he'd be mature enough at that point to like say, okay, I gotta go by what this guy says because he's apparently a better version of me.
But he wouldn't know about the avatars from Final Crisis. Darkseid does. If Darkseid was petty enough, he could go to the other Earths, the other universes, rally all his avatars and all his forces together for a full-scale invasion. He just chooses not to because it ruptures the cosmic balance.
Why hasn't that ever been a DC crisis? That would be so awesome. An army of Darkseids. How are they going to beat that?
What do you think Final Crisis was?
Well, that's true. That's true. And they still won by singing him to death. Thanks, Grant Morrison. He's a good writer, but Grant can be a little out there sometimes.
He can be.
Like padded room out there.
But now that we've covered Goddess of War, I want to go back to another component of that video. Granted, you... Hold on, let me just get the banner. Jared.
Yeah, what's up? Wonder Mom. Jeez. That's awesome.
Because remember, New 52 Donna Troy was going to be the daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman.
Which that would be so cool because, again, have we ever had it where Wonder Girl is the daughter of Wonder Woman?
Not directly. Maybe an apprentice, a protege, a fellow sister of the Amazons, but not a direct daughter or anything like that.
Okay, yeah, that's where I was a little confused on that.
And in case you're joining us from this video, hold on. I actually did make a It's not technically a thumb. It was technically just a peace sign for Jared agreeing to help me out. But I don't think he'll mind if I screen shared this, just right quick for a few seconds. Let me see if I can find it. You would still
Oh
have the
boy.
main Donna Troy. You would still have the same Donna Troy from Rebirth, but you would have two Donnas basically. Let me just pull this
Oh
up.
boy. What is this? Oh yeah. I love that.
So this Scion, New 52 Superman, Wonder
Which
Woman when
I
she's no
like our
longer.
decision. I like our decision to give him the black version of the suit. It's just the black new. I can't believe we never got that because that looks dope. Well, because they never
Believe
actually
me, this.
killed him, but still.
Yeah.
And
Then you
the
got
silver
Darkseid in the.
cape. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I just keep obsessing about that because that silver cape looks dope. And then the armor Darkseid obviously looks cool. The Jim Lee Darkseid.
This was not an easy piece to make. Let me tell you that. This was not an easy piece to make.
Well, you did very well with that.
And then you have what would have been the daughter of Scion and Wonder Woman, New 52, Donna Troy here in the corner.
Which that's cool. I like that. Again, I think it would have been again, I mean, because there's been so many origins of Wonder Girl that some of them are really weird and some of them are like really weird. So I think having a normal one like she's the daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman would be
refreshing.
Yeah.
Now, granted, when Rebirth rolled around, you would still have two Donna because of Doomsday Clock and cosmic shenanigans. But
yeah.
But okay, how do you think Troya or original Donna Troy would take to Donna?
But isn't the original Donna Troy non-existent in our universe because she is that?
Because come on, because with everything coming ahead, eventually fans, because nostalgia would eventually won out.
Yeah, I think at first she would feel like she's being replaced at first, and then she would probably take out. No, I get to be an aunt. Because you think about Donna, not necessarily the new 52 Donna,
the original Donna, classic Donna.
She's very much like the sister you think of. She's very much like the.
She's a train wreck.
Well, if you've seen like movies where there are two sisters that hang out and gossip all the time, that's Donna. So she would have that with the daughter and stuff.
It's okay. If you remember Leanne from Pre-52 and how Donna doted over her, that's basically the two Donnas dynamic right there.
Mm-hmm. That would be awesome. How would Cassie respond?
I think Cassie would be endeared to it. It's a little weird considering because it's like a little Donna, but with all these cosmic shenanigans, they're kind of used to it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. Well, let me put it this way: they're used to having like if they're associated with Wonder Woman, they've seen some stuff.
They've seen some stuff.
So there you go.
But I don't know if I should make this banner, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
I don't know if I should make this banner because remember when we talked about like a junior Trinity?
Oh God! Is this going to be a video that Tevye is going to comment on?
Probably not. Because
Zack is on my side. Suck it.
but in all seriousness, okay.
You had to do it. You were this close to being on my good side.
Let me finish, man. Let me finish. Because remember in the previous video, we would have talked about a team up of Damian, New 52 Donna, and John. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
And you could do like at least an annual or a filler issue where the Wonder Girls.
Okay, now that I realize what you mean by Wonder Bat, this makes more sense.
What'd you think I meant?
I thought you were just screwing with me.
Jared, why I have you on as a co-host and guest on my channel. Why would I go out of my way to screw with you?
But yeah, okay. Plus, the only Wonder Bat I support is Ian and Cassie and Deceased. That's the only one I'm like, okay, that works.
And you basically have the same thing here, just with Damien and Donna. Though that's a little weird now that I've said that out loud.
Yeah, it is kind of odd, but hey, it works. It'd be super cool.
It'd be good for a good filler issue or just a running gag. Like, no, I would never do. First of all, I have enough breathing down my neck when I babysit John and our little adventures. I don't want Wonder Woman tacked on top of that because of a pretentious crush.
I got a great idea. The Junior Trinity. That's the name of their book. It's the three kids.
Tevia's gonna love this one, ladies and gentlemen.
I had to.
Tevia's gonna love this one. But
she could hang out with Kathy too. I'm maximizing the Tevia-ness of this video. I'm just saying. Tevia, if you're watching, I love you, brother. It's just all in good fun.
But I don't think Damien would go for it though. It would definitely be a DCAU type feel to it. Mm-hmm. One, he respects John too much. Yeah. Two, he barely gets away with as much crap as he does because he's the son of Batman. And three, in a scenario where something were to happen to this version of Donna, like what happened in our previous video with Defiance of the Gods arc, Scion would not be great. Scion's no Superman by any means.
If anyone, he would go to his daughter. No, you stay away from Damian Wayne because he knows what Damian Wayne's like. He's like, nope. You will wake up to you will be stabbed at some point. Stay away.
Donna doesn't listen. Damian
she's an angsty teenage girl that's dealing with the pressures of being the daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman. And by the way, that would be a fantastic plot for a book. I'm just saying, again, DC, hire us.
I was able to come up with this within the span of like 20 minutes.
We came up with an entire alternate reality in like an hour last time. So entire alternate reality that would sell, mind you.
Oh man. But yeah, I still say fighting nostalgia and fan expectation would still be a factor. Mm-hmm. Hence why I brought up the original Donna Troy and Rebirth, because that still wouldn't have been a factor, especially with Wally West.
Yeah. Or like her being in a relationship with Roy Harper.
Yeah, that's just weird.
Which was weird. I have like one issue from that run, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, this doesn't sit well with me.
I get what they were going for. They were going for. It's a lot of Titans and New Teen Titans callbacks. But there's a reason Roy and Donna didn't work. There's a reason for it.
Yeah, because it's stupid. It's like Wonder Woman and Batman.
How is that even remotely a comparison?
No, they're both really crappy ships. And according to Zack Snyder, I'm correct. I'm gonna ride on that forever. But for those that don't know, when we were watching the BVS watch party and he said that, first off, I tensed up. It's because the minute he said Wonder Bat, I was like, oh no. And then he said it, and then you could see Teladia's face. He was like, it was the greatest thing in the world. It was the greatest thing in the. Of course, I clipped the hell out of that. It's just a 1 minute video. It's my intro, that for like 10 seconds, and then outro.
But okay. If this had actually gone through, please, by the way, DC, hire us. If this had gone through, would you ever see Superman, post-crisis Superman, fully retiring and leaving Scion to leave the fort? Or would he just stay strictly in the JSA?
I think eventually, I think he would say, I'm not going to be Superman. You know this world. I'll be there in case of like emergency, because if there's ever a situation that you can't handle, what's better than Superman? Two Supermen. So I could see him basically, because he also doesn't want to upstage Superman, because he is Superman. Let's face on it. I know this is getting really confusing, but just bear with me. But
okay, post-crisis / classic Superman is classic Superman. New 52 Superman would rebrand as Scion.
All right. So yeah, he wouldn't want to upscale or upstage Scion. So he's like, you know what? You be Superman. I'll be in this general area. I'll take care of this general area. And then if there's ever an emergency, like a really big emergency, I'll be there. But you are Superman, as people say.
You've earned it. You were a bit of a narc in the beginning, but you've earned it.
I've been watching you since I arrived on this on this world, because conceivably he's been here the entire New 52.
Not to mention, I don't want you as a bad influence on my son John. I don't. You're a bad.
Not to mention, you're wearing my family crest, so
might as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want John exposed to this multiverse nonsense any more than he already has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, what's John technically has two fathers? By multiverse. Come on, man.
That's too easy of a joke even for you, man.
I know, it's just weird, but that's beside. Someone's gonna make that joke. And the shippers are going to somehow ship Scion with Superman, right? JD
Stop
knows
it.
I'm right.
Stop it.
Internet, bro.
Stop it. Bro. I swear to God. And that goes for the audience,
here with a spray bottle just spraying me with water saying, shh, stop it. Stop it.
The depravity I've seen.
You can't tell me I'm wrong, Jay Heat. That's the sad part.
You sick bastard.
Hey, I'm just telling you what the internet's gonna do with this. It's the internet, bro.
That's the sad part. That's the fucking sad part.
I know. But yeah, I mean, plus again, it would just be so cool if we had like Superman being mentored by a younger Superman being mentored by the older, more experienced. They could have had that. It was so simple. They were on the verge of greatness, to quote director Krennic. That's my problem with DC, honestly, editorial, and I'm hoping Jim Lee can kind of fix that, because they have the potential for these great stories that you and I just came through without even notes or anything. They have the potential, and they just squander it. Or they don't squander it, they ignore it, because squander is like they try it and they screw up. No, they legit ignore it because they want to cater to fans. Because here's the thing, they cater too much to nostalgia. Because nostalgia is good. To a certain degree, it works. But they cater too much to that, and that's why their sales are tanking.
How would you feel Batman would be impacted by what we've come up with these past two videos?
Oh, Batman would be that would be like, I have to come up with 2 contingency plans for Superman now. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. He would be doubly concerned. But he would eventually come to an understanding of this Clark, and he'd go, I could see Bruce pulling Superman aside going, don't tell anyone about the contingency plans that I assume your Batman had.
By the way, due to multiverse logic, a lot of Batman's contingencies in Kryptonite wouldn't even work on classic Superman because he's from a parallel Earth. Well, he's from an alternate timeline, so I guess it would still affect him.
In the Rebirth Justice League first arc, before
the merger,
did the reboot, they had this funny scene where Superman is telling the League about his Batman having those contingency plans. Green Lantern turns to him and goes, do you have those? And then Batman just goes,
of course I do.
Yeah, exactly. And then Cyborg's like, oh, come on, dude. It's so awesome. All right, the best line from the movie for Tower of Babel is when Superman goes, you're telling me you don't have a contingency plan for when you go evil? He goes, I do. You guys.
The Justice League.
Yeah. Incredible. We will cover that for Comics League movie.
Oh, that's gonna happen. But
that's a pretty obvious statement right there. It's the same thing with Under the Red Hood.
But do you think by seeing Superman and Wonder Woman together, God, I'm doing it now. Wonder Woman and Scion together, do you feel that would cause Bruce to reflect in some way?
Maybe realize that he should focus on the simple life, in other words, and maybe actually commit to Selena. In other words, DC actually goes through with the wedding and doesn't tease us for 6 months and then just abandons it.
Editorial 5G was already in play.
But in other words, in our universe, whoever proposed 5G gets actually laughed out of my office. I'm like, ha, Marvel did that. It didn't work. What are you doing, you idiot? That would be me. I'd be like the worst boss.
I believe it. I believe you.
But thanks. But my point is that essentially I think that our version of Batman would at least like see that and go like, okay, maybe I should give this thing with Selina a shot. That could lead to Batman learning, okay, I have to have a life outside the cave because this is not healthy. Everyone wants me to have a life outside the cave, and if everyone is saying the exact same thing,
maybe I should listen to it.
Pretty sure they're right and I'm wrong. Plus, remember in this, we were doing the Scott Snyder Batman, and Scott Snyder's Batman, as opposed to Tom King, was more like jokey, as jokey as Batman could be. I'm saying in comparison to Tom King, the Batman of Snyder was a little more quippy and stuff. So I feel
a little bit.
And he was the Batman of the time. So I feel like at that point he would be like, okay, you know what? I can do this.
And how would you say, okay, because I got this whole thing kind of mapped out right now, because you got the Justice League on one side with Scion, and you got Superman with the New 52 JSA on the other. So you essentially, your partner's on a completely separate hero team, which is a government contingency team against you.
That has got to screw with your head.
Try saying that 3 times fast.
I would love someone trying to explain that to a regular person in DC. Like Batman's like, okay, so he's him from another Earth, but he's on a team that is designed to fight them because those two were banging. I would just love someone to break that down, and then Cyborg breaks out of his arm a whiteboard, and he goes, actually, it goes like this, and he like sketches out the entire thing because he has an Xbox in his shoulder, which is actually so funny. Which is, do you have an Xbox? Right here.
Here. But product plug aside, I feel like please hire us, DC, hire us.
First off, yes, please. I could do a better job than your current editorial team.
And I would never say Bruce should give up the cowl outright. I will never say that.
No, because he's not. He is not. Let's face it. Anyone thinking that is wrong. All he's going to do is try to figure out a way to do it as happily as he can.
Yes. And maybe with a little Helena Wayne on the way.
Oh, and I want to be one change to the New 52 from the very beginning. Barbara is still Oracle. We don't do the whole, oh, she got her spine fixed. No, she was better as Oracle.
But who would be Batgirl? Stephanie Brown or Cassandra Cain?
From any of them, because either of them are great. So I have no preference. It's dealer's choice at that point.
True. But
go ahead.
But would you break up Tim and Steph?
No. First off, what happened to Tim Drake? Another thing, Tim Drake is a Robin. We're not going to try and fit in the BS 5 years. So, and at this point, they've been superheroes for like 10 years and just fit in the Robins. And then we'll just say he was always a Robin. He's always been with Stephanie. When Fitzmartin comes in and proposes her story, we laugh her out of the office. Say, no. That ain't happening. But basically, we would go back to what sells. That's
so
the key here.
But I have one critique. You still have the 2 Robin situation because you have 2 still using.
We give Tim Drake his own identity, but we don't. We make it so he was a Robin, but he decided Jason and Nightwing. It's time for me to move on. I'll still be your partner, but I don't want to be Robin anymore. Plus, he would go like, your son should be Robin.
Okay.
And then he would have his own identity. In other words, I've thought that through. I'm like Batman. I have contingency plans for everything.
But okay, I could really go for on and on for with this. I could go with a Flash.
We seriously should and just have a collab where we just map out our own DCE universe from Flashpoint and on. We could destroy that topic so well. And then what we should do with Nick, because this would be hilarious, design a universe that would tank. That would make all the wrong decisions purposely. That would be hilarious.
Oh.
Yeah, I vote that's a topic for a later discussion. That has to be.
Oh, seconded.
Yeah, it passes unanimously. But in conclusion,
okay.
I think this is a fantastic universe we've created. Well done, sir.
Thank you. But anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
Again, congratulations on 150, bro. It's a big accomplishment.
Okay. With that being said, this has been a not as long of a discussion because my celebration stream was over 2 hours.
Jeez,
but
dude.
But I feel like we've covered everything we wanted to do, and hopefully next week, if Jared wants to collab, we cover episode 2, Wallace West Kid Flash.
I'm down for that. How would we handle the redundant Kid Flash?
I already have a thumbnail made for it. I've kind of been in overdrive on this, but seriously, I got so many thumbnails made. It's not even funny.
I know, but hey, that's good. You plan ahead, because honestly, that's the last thing I do. Is just throw together a thumbnail because I'm like, okay, this works.
Oh no, where was it? Dang it. Go ahead and what else you got coming up other than CLD while I try to find this right quick.
So Nerdette and I are gonna collab and talk about our comics. Whoa, that should be a fun discussion. And this week on CLD, we're talking about Jim Lee becoming the president, publisher, and chief creative officer of DC, meaning he's the head shed now. There's no one above him at DC Comics. And what this could mean for the line. We're talking about, like, full circle. We're talking about if we could take 5 DVDs and 5 TV series, what would we take to a desert island? And we may have a special guest on CLD. We'll see. I'm still trying to iron out the details, but it's someone I've mentioned before, someone that's a good dear friend of mine and a fellow Super Wonder shipper, so I can get some balance about time. That's a kick-ass thumbnail, by the way. I like the silver suit a lot more.
Yeah, and it actually made an appearance in Dark Crisis when called Burst, with Wallace working on a new code name. I definitely feel like he shouldn't cling to the Kid Flash name anymore. Granted, I had made this before the 1 Minute War arc wrapped up and Irie West went by Thunderheart. But I still feel like Wallace getting a costume change, something to make him stand out more, is due. And let's be honest, this is just the better suit. This is playing it safe.
He got a new name?
No. Yeah, in Dark Crisis, it was a fantasy where he was called Burst, and basically that dream world he was in. It was one of the tie-ins.
At this point, I just don't like the name Kid Flash at this point. It's just demeaning.
To an extent. Like, it's classic.
I know, it's like calling Supergirl at this point.
But whatever.
Like, she's 20. What do you do? Superwoman. She's an adult. Stop calling her Supergirl.
But yeah, this is what we'll be focusing on next week. And New Direction episode 2, Wallace Ace West.
Which is awesome. I can't wait. It looks super cool. So basically, we're creating the New Direction verse.
basically.
And we're going in one direction. I had to.
You just had to get one more in before I ended this, did you?
Yeah, I did. I really did. It's just me messing with J Heat.
Once again, thank you everyone for over 150 subscribers. I am truly humbled. My co-host Jared, Nick from the Phoenix Press.
Anytime, dude.
Snyder Queen, Taladia, Pika Shades, Najee, Tevia. Tevia, if you're still watching this, if you've seen this to the end, you are a trooper. You're a good man. And hopefully you had a good laugh out of all this. Because,
dude, it's all in good faith. It's all in good fun. You know that.
Well, I'm Jay Heat. This has been New Direction with Comics League. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and flame off. Whoa!